In our world lead, almost a full day now into the ceasefire between Israel and Hezbollah, and some people in southern Lebanon are along the Israeli border are now returning to their homes after months of conflict. But as CNN's Jeremy Diamond reports from northern Israel, just because there is a deal doesn't mean that everyone feels safe going back.
So you're back in Shtula with
Yeah.
all the dogs.
Yeah.
Huh?
I'm at home. It's not really home at the moment, but
Ori Eliyahu is one of just a handful of residents living in this Israeli community along the Lebanese border. But he's not back because he thinks it's safe.
so basically it's not just that this is Lebanon, Jabal Blat. You see here the mountain?
Yeah.
Those houses are Hezbollah's houses. They are shooting missiles from there.
The new ceasefire agreement means Hezbollah must withdraw from this area, about 25 miles north of the Israeli border. But like many others in northern Israel, Ori doesn't trust Hezbollah, nor the Israeli government's assurances that it will prevent Hezbollah from regrouping. On the first day of this new ceasefire, Shtula is just as much of a ghost town as when we visited over the summer.
Let's go quick.
Back then, the Israeli military gave us just 3 minutes to see homes struck by anti-tank missiles, fearing Hezbollah could strike again.
I remember when I came here with
Today, overlooking that same view, standing along that same devastated home, that threat seems further away. But for how long?
your fear is that this agreement won't prevent this from happening again.
You are saying it's a fear. It's not fear. It's not fear. It's a fact. Here in the Middle East, this is how you go. This is how things work. If a terrorist can shoot you, he'll shoot you.
He says his neighbors, among the roughly 60,000 Israelis displaced from the north, don't feel safe enough to return.
They won't do it. We are speaking about it all the time in the WhatsApp group and in the phone, anywhere, everywhere. They are not stupid.
Just down the road, Ora Hatan is enjoying her first peaceful day in more than a year.
We wake up to the quiet morning. It's after 1 here. It's unusual.
She, too, is skeptical that the ceasefire will lead to a lasting peace, but she doesn't see an alternative.
I spoke with the soldier. They tired. They exhaust. Also, what another option that we have to arrive to Beirut?
On the Lebanese side of the border, many civilians were quick to return to southern Lebanon. Yes, thank God, I'm happy, of course. We're going back to our hometown, to our land. The Lebanese military also headed south, expected to monitor Hezbollah activity as a fragile truce takes hold.
And Erica, while that fragile truce has held up so far, that doesn't mean it's been entirely quiet. While we were on the Israel-Lebanon border today, we heard at least one burst of outgoing artillery fire and also some small arms fire in the distance. The Israeli military indeed now confirming that it has not only fired warning shots at individuals who are approaching their military positions in southern Lebanon, but actually eliminated, they say, Hezbollah operatives in the area. They say that any armed Hezbollah operative is a violation of the ceasefire and that they will enforce that ceasefire themselves. Erica?
Jeremy Diamond, appreciate it. Thank you. Joining me now, Amos Hochstein, who's the lead U.S. negotiator behind that ceasefire deal, traveling to the region several times. So as we just heard in Jeremy's piece there, not only what we're hearing from the Israeli military in terms of those warning shots, but you heard from two residents, from Ori and also from Ora, who are skeptical that this ceasefire will hold. Are you confident it will hold?
Well, first, Erica, thank you for having me. Look, the ceasefire that was agreed to yesterday, this is we're in a day one of this ceasefire, so I and others will hold judgment. The hope is that this is a permanent ceasefire that is not just a cessation of hostilities on a temporary basis. I saw a lot of reports that this is a 60-day ceasefire. It is not. It is a permanent ceasefire that will require Hezbollah to move away from the border. But Israeli positions inside Lebanon are going to continue to be there for a few more weeks and as they depart Lebanon on a gradual basis. So the Lebanese military will now come in, and as they deploy to the south, the Israeli military will redeploy back into Israel. And look, there's a lot of military gains that were achieved here, but at some point you have to translate those gains into an agreement. The government of Israel felt that this was the right time, as did the Lebanese. And so this ceasefire came about.
Can you take us inside these final hours of these negotiations?
Well, it was a very tense last couple of weeks of these negotiations. I went to Beirut, stayed an extra day, and then went to Israel and came back over the weekend, where we still had some things to do. President Biden made a number of critical phone calls to leaders in order to be able to secure it. But as I said before, we've had a ceasefire that in 2006 that ended the last war. It was not implemented. And neither side did any implementation, especially Hezbollah building terrorist infrastructure across the border. And so we were determined not to just have a ceasefire, but a comprehensive agreement that will include components of implementation to ensure that Hezbollah is not there, and most importantly, to ensure that the infrastructure is not there and is not allowed to be rebuilt. And so the United States, for the first time, is going to play a role in the monitoring and the implementation of this agreement in order to give more confidence. And so the last few days were, until it was voted on in the cabinet in Israel and agreed to by the Lebanese government, there were a lot of issues that could have come up to derail it. And so we were really trying to work this until the very last minute. But as I said before, the Prime Minister of Israel felt this was in the best interest of Israel, and the Lebanese felt the same way, which is why they asked us to try to do a major push to get it. And I'm pleased that we have it, and a lot of lives will be saved as a result.
It is tough not to look at this and remember the number of lives lost. Some 3,000 Lebanese were killed. Dozens of villages were wiped out in this conflict. You talked about translating some of the gains, right, into this agreement, essentially. There is perhaps some cautious hope that maybe this could change things in terms of the situation in Gaza. Do you hold out any hope that this could, in fact, influence some movement when it comes to some sort of a ceasefire and hostage release negotiation for Gaza?
First of all, being who I am, I always hold hope, and I work towards, I believe in reality. Many people said that breaking the linkage between Lebanon and Gaza was impossible, and that we would not be able to reach a ceasefire in Lebanon without one in Gaza. And that was proven wrong. So I'm glad we were able to get that due to the perseverance of the president and the effort here. But I do think, Erica, that, look, Hamas woke up this morning at 4 a.m. and realizing that the idea that they had Hezbollah as supporters of theirs by linking the two conflicts, that link was broken, that Hezbollah had cut a deal, and now they were the only ones, and that they were alone, and the cavalry wasn't coming from the north. Moreover, Israel is no longer fighting a two-front war, it is fighting a one-front war. And so this is a moment of opportunity, and as the president said yesterday, we will go out and try to get a ceasefire in Gaza that brings out the hostages, including the American ones. So I think we may have a turning point here that we need to explore.
Real quickly, in terms of that and the president's pledge to continue to try there, he said it's going to be different, but we haven't heard a lot of specifics on how it is now different. Is it simply that this is now a one-front war for Israel? Is that the only thing that's changed, or is there more?
Well, I think that over the last several weeks and couple of months, the entire region has changed. Iran's number one proxy, Hezbollah, has been degraded and diminished significantly. And now Hamas is on its own. I think that changes the dynamic. The president also said Hamas, at the end of the day, did not come to negotiating table for a long time now in good faith to negotiate. We're hoping that now the Lebanon deal will help us get to a place where we can have a discussion in earnest. And the president is determined to fight to the last minute to try to be able to get a deal that brings the hostages home and provides the region some stability.
Amos Hochstein, appreciate you joining us tonight. Thank you.
Thank you very much.